Hey everybody, Doc Langlois here, and of course the big news this morning was the sudden and tragic death of Kentucky Derby winner Medina Spirit, and of course this is just going to set the racing world abuzz with a whole bunch of questions, and of course one of the biggest questions right now is what exactly is going to happen from here? Well, normally if I had all my other good equipment with me, I could show it to you in different videos and photos, but as you can see from the mountains and the cacti behind me, I'm currently at the Global Racing Symposium here in Tucson, Arizona. So I'm going to try to quickly explain, just to answer some basic questions as to what will happen from here with Medina's Spirit. And so the first thing is his body is obviously going to be taken for a necropsy. And that necropsy's first part, usually what we call the gross necropsy, should be done in the next 24 hours, probably even sooner, because that's when the body is most fresh. That is when we will get the most answers, and there won't be as much what we call autolytic or necrotic change going on just from the body having been dead for a while. At the same time, the hope is that certain samples, hair samples, blood samples if they can get it, samples of urine from his bladder will all be taken to look for toxicology testing. This is something that should routinely be done in every necropsy case of a horse that dies on the racetrack, be it from sudden death, what we saw here, from a catastrophic injury, for whatever the reason. These types of tests should be taken for toxicology purposes. So that's kind of the first step of what's going to happen. Hopefully they will also be taking, when they are in there doing this gross necropsy, and a gross necropsy basically looks at everything on the outside of the horse first, and then basically does a full dissection of the horse from head to toe, looking at all the organs, looking for a potential cause of death. Since this was not an injury, this was not a catastrophic breakdown, this is what was described as a sudden death, which usually means it is due either to a cardiac arrhythmia, what we call a fatal arrhythmia, or some, more commonly a heart attack, or a major bleed out in a vessel. And usually that's the aorta that could potentially rupture, a very large vessel in the lungs, but it is not the same as exercise-induced pulmonary hemorrhage. So this is not the same thing as normally what we would consider bleeding in a racehorse or something like that. They're two distinct things. What they hopefully will also do during this gross pathology and gross necropsy is take tissue samples of all the organs involved: lungs, heart, liver, kidney, spleen, anything else that they might see. And this is going to be for two reasons. One, they may want to save some of those samples for potential further toxicology testing later, as well as look at those samples under a microscope to look at the cellularity of those samples, to give a full picture of what potentially could have caused his tragic death. So that's the process that's going to start now. To my understanding, in California, all the necropsies are done by a board-certified veterinary pathologist at UC Davis, which is the vet school there. So hopefully that will answer some of the questions about the impartiality of it. These boarded pathologists, they are not going to fudge things. They are not going to put things there that are not there. They also are not going to put things, or try to hide anything or anything like that, because their reputation's on the line and they have no reason to do that. So they are the ones that are going to run all of these necropsies. They are the ones that are going to order specific tests. And the final thing to remember with this is it's just going to take a little time. The gross pathology, necropsy report, in theory, should be done in 24, 48 hours, and it might be released as a preliminary report, but usually they wait for the toxicology test to come back, which can take some time, as well as what we call the histology portion, or the microscopic portion of the necropsy, to come back as well, and then issue a full report. So this is probably not something that we are going to see results on anytime in the next week or two. Hopefully, by normal standards, maybe a month. Maybe we'll get some, preliminary info in a short period of time. But as far as the full cause of death and the entire report and all of that stuff, that's going to take just a little bit of time. So hope that answers at least some basic questions about what is going to happen next. If you have any other questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. I'll try to answer them in further videos. And of course, via Therafan, we are going to be covering everything that's going on here at the Global Racing Symposium on a daily basis. So look for the videos later for that. Until then, enjoy everything. Rest in peace, Medina Spirit. Just certainly another tragic loss for racing, and hopefully we will get answers to this as soon as we scientifically can.